Welcome back to the VR workshop. Today, we're talking about piston ring gaps. One of the other issues that could have been a factor in the rapid destruction of this engine was the piston ring gap. Normally for standard aspirated engines, the pistons and the piston rings and the bores are all matched and you generally don't need to look at this. But for boosted applications, or the rings can expand, and when they expand they can butt up to each other and not have enough room for the expansion, thus putting a bit more pressure on the cylinder walls, which could lead to a catastrophic failure like this one where it's cracked both sides. What I want to do is take the rings off the broken piston, put them in our new cylinder and check the gap, and then put them in our old cylinder and check the gap, just to see where we are. The gap for a 100mm bore with these rings should be around 0.004 of an inch. And if it's boosted, it's recommended to be 0.6, 0.7 for the top ring and slightly more for the bottom ring. So let's pull the rings out and we'll have a look at that. So a piston has three main rings. The top piston ring and the second piston ring are for compression, or managing the compression. And the bottom ring is your oil scraper ring or your oil control ring. So the first two rings' job is, when you have the combustion in the chamber, is to ensure that there's no blow-by past the piston skirt and into the crankcase. So that's the main job of the first two rings. The bottom ring does exactly the same, but for oil in the opposite direction. There's actually oil sprayed up in between this piston, and actually comes out the side of the piston here as well, just for a bit of lubrication. So the oil scraper ring scrapes the excess oil off, but ensures everything below the compression rings are lubricated. So we're going to pull this ring off. This is the broken piston, by the way, so this ring is slightly damaged, but it still retains, it's got a scratch on it somewhere. It's not overly damaged, but it's, for measurements purposes, it's going to be fine. Now we're going to put it into our cylinder, and we're going to just measure the gap with a set of feeler gauges. Now, it's important to make sure the ring is sitting in there perfectly centered. Because if the ring's sitting off at an angle, you're going to get a slightly different measurement of the gap. So let's measure that properly. How far up and down, it shouldn't matter because the cylinder is going to be the same up and down. So for our little test here, we're just going to pick 30mm. Okay, and now you can see here that we've got a nice little gap to measure. Grabbing our brand new set of feeler gauges, because my old Blue Point ones died, we're going to just measure this gap and see what it is. It's actually looking quite large. It's not as big as 0.6. We're just going to slowly make our way down until we find the exact size. Try 0.5. Okay. So the gap is bigger than 0.5. .53. It's pretty tight at 0.53 millimeters. And 0.55 does not go in. So it's a 0.54 gap, which a standard one for this bore size should be roughly 0.4 millimeters. We've got 0.54. Ideally we want around 0.6 for the top ring, so it's slightly undersized, but it is bigger than standard. Let's try the second ring. Completely honest, I've actually not had the second ring off this piston yet, so I'm not quite sure what the damage actually is. I've inspected the top ring, I've had that off before, but not the second ring. Not just snug, that's for sure. And it's going to fight me. Now, it's probably stuck in the groove with debris from the piston and the cylinder. Oh yeah, it's properly tight. Yeah, you can actually see dirt and remnants, and oh, I've slashed my finger open. Thank you. Anyway, let's throw it in there and measure. So I'm just going to measure from the same measure point as we did with the top ring, which was 0.3, no sorry, 30 mil I should say. Okay. So if we start at 0.55 mil, because we're hoping the gap on this side is slightly bigger. And it is. It's a good bit bigger. Quite a bit bigger actually. So we're gapping that at around 0.75. Actually, no, I'm gapping at 0.8, my bad. Just check if we've got any slightly bigger feeler villages. Okay, so the lower ring is around 0.86. So the lower ring is actually a fair bit bigger than standard, which is what we wanted to see. It's actually slightly bigger than I even would have measured it myself, or rather made it fit myself. So was this the issue for the broken cylinder? I'm not so sure. But we can measure it in the old one to see if it's much the same. As I'm putting the top ring into this old cylinder, I'm actually noticing 2 cracks it's got. You're probably wondering why I used a mixture of thousandths of an inch and millimeters there. Most of the calculations you find online for this is based in inches, most likely because it's US derived. But it's a metric engine with metric measurements for the bore and the piston, so I just converted it back to millimeters to understand what it was. Okay, top ring is in the old cylinder. Okay, and it's way bigger than what it was standard, so it's 0.5 we just put in there and it sails through. 0.8. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 0.6. So the gap is substantially bigger on the standard cylinder, but we know the standard cylinder has moved out considerably, so that is probably the issue. But now that we've got us under the light, yeah, there's 2 cracks in here, not just one. If you're going to do a job, do it right. Well, we learned something there. I don't believe that the piston rings were too tight that caused the issue here. I really don't. They're bigger than we expected, to be honest. They could be slightly bigger, I guess, but I don't think it's going to cause that much of an issue. So, moving forward, we have 3 cylinders. We have the garbage piston and the garbage cylinder here. We have the top cylinder piston here, and we have a nice new second-hand piston and cylinder here. So what we're going to do is we're going to tidy up the base gaskets on the rear cylinder. We're going to clean up all these piston rings because they've only done 100 miles. Make sure there's no debris in them, give them a good clean, give the crown and the piston a bit of a clean up as well. And we're going to rebuild it. We're going to reinstall the rear cylinder. Once we've got that done, we'll transfer the water parts over from the front cylinder onto this, and we'll bolt the front one as well. This is the rebuild stage, which is great. So let's crack on with that. Now, probably seen this before on earlier videos. These are just little Scotch-Brite Brillo pads which fit the Dremel, and they're fantastic for taking bits of gasket remover because it doesn't actually remove any metal, it just kind of polishes it up. So it's ideal for gasket remover. I'll be honest, I can't remember where I got them from. I've had them for years. They come in different grades of hardness and widths, and you can buy them in bulk. But they're a non-Dremel part, so they're relatively cheap, and they just do the trick. So that is now the top cylinder ready to be fitted back into the block. We've got brand new base gaskets and we've got brand new head gaskets, which will fit as well, even though it's probably going to be short-lived before we change these pistons, hopefully. Then we'll get onto the forward head. We'll change all the water jacket parts around onto our new second-hand cylinder, and we'll get that fitted as well. We could be making noise pretty soon. One of the questions that I got recently was, why a Ducati? Why a Ducati engine? Because to be honest, for performance and land speed, using a 22-year-old engine is probably not the wisest choice. But this whole project was kicked off with a movie, a Swiss team who went out and broke a land speed record using a Ducati powered bike. And it just so happened at the time I had a 998 engine lying on the garage floor doing absolutely nothing. And I just finished supercharging an 1198, so I'd gone through the process of understanding how to use force induction on a large two-cylinder engine Ducati. So that's what started the project. The idea was that we'd build a bike with the same engine and go and break their record. Now, you may or may not know that we didn't get to the FIM event last year because shipping delays, but we bettered the FIM record by 18 miles. So we don't have it officially, but we've definitely smashed it. But that's the reason we're using a Ducati engine. That's what started it all off. And it's different. This would be far too easy if we just threw a J6R engine in it. We need a bit of a challenge in life. Anyway, we're going to stop it there. As I said, next time we'll get the pistons into the cylinders. We'll get everything buttoned up and hopefully start making some noise soon. Thank you again for your comments and questions. It's always good to hear from you guys. If you do like what you're seeing, drop us a like, subscribe to the channel. Until the next time, thank you.